in many of our countries with high levels of corruption and really a blurred line between what's right and what's wrong, when it comes to ethical practices, it's important for companies to really be able to strengthen their organizational culture. But that's a challenge for many companies on the continent, especially the small ones and the ones that would most likely not have the sort of competent people that, Amy, you referred to. So with these compliance challenges that companies experience on the continent, what's your advice to companies, small and large, about how to close that compliance gap?
So I think I want to contextualize this with a broader lens. I don't think it's accurate to say or to paint a picture where the corruption is all from local people and local companies. Corruption is quite often instigated. And so if you look at, for example, if we want to go back in history, the East India Company, the British set up in India, was heroically corrupt. And this was, and a lot of the collapse was to do with the corruption. And what happened there was you had, the foremost multinational company in the world sending people out to India. And those people saw opportunities to increase their wealth to a level that they had never, envisioned they could. And they did terrible things. They instigated corruption in that country, and they rewarded local people who helped them in that endeavor, and excluded local people who didn't. So I think it's important when tackling corruption to understand how it works, where the incentives lie. And as I say, for local people, these are our countries. We don't want our countries to be corrupt. A local person does not have the finance to support, a corrupt organization, and they don't have the incentive in a way that some foreign companies have, because those foreign companies want a shortcut, they want minimal exposure, and they just want the person who can sign their document. Whereas, those of us in the market who are long-term investors, particularly, need to work through the process. So, first of all, there is a question here about incentives, and this is a universal problem. We have to find out why it is that certain individuals on the ground, whether foreign or domestic, behave in a certain way. And compliance procedures are a part of it. So what is the character of the company? Is this a company that is truly transparent? What are they reporting? Well, to what extent do they go to ensure that contracts that are given out are compliant with their policies and procedures? And what is the level of accountability? And again, this goes for local and international companies. If malpractice is found, what happens? Who is accountable? And how visible is that accountability to others in the company? Because if your boss is stealing, why wouldn't you steal? And if your boss is not following the rules, and it's obvious he's not following the rules, and there's no penalty for that, then why wouldn't you do the same thing? So having the written down procedures, absolutely essential, but also having a culture where there is accountability and there is transparency is really important. And the ability to not demonize, I think, is really critical here, because I think being really scientific about this and explaining to people what the cost is to the company, to themselves, to their society of corruption. We're all smart people. So you explain to people, look, you have a choice. You can behave in this way and this will be the outcome, or you can behave in this way and this will be the outcome. And it is enormously hard. I agree with Mohammed, it's hard. But to be honest, I have found, and we've had some really tough times in my company, but I still believe to today that, some of the people, I know with the highest levels of integrity are Nigerians, and some of them are Nigerian government officials who, in really tough situations, under enormous pressure to do the wrong thing, have done the right thing for no other reason then it's the right thing to do. And quite often there is an asymmetry of information, there is a lack of experience and exposure, but people recognize the right thing when they see it. And then it's just a question of what is the framework within which they're working. And if you're in a private company, we can set up the right frameworks, we can set up the right culture, we can make sure that we promote and support the right people through the company. If you're in public sector, it's obviously a lot more complicated.